So let's talk, y'all. Kayak fishing, namely kayak bass fishing, that sport, that activity, whatever you want to call it, has grown and advanced at a faster pace maybe than any niche of bass fishing ever. The last 10 to 15 years, we've gone from simple sit-in kayaks and sit-on-top kayaks that you had to paddle all the way to where we are now. And frankly, kayak fishing has an identity crisis. In this video, we're going to talk about the top 3 reasons I think that is happening. And I don't know what we can do about it. Maybe you can leave some comments about what you think we can do about it or where this thing's going. But I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I think it's happening, and maybe a few suggestions on how we can fix it. So number 1, when I got started in this thing, the first kayak I bought was a Wilderness Systems Ride 115, a very solid kayak that you had to paddle to move. Pedal kayaks were few and far between, but basically every kayak that you saw out there was man-powered or moved by the person that was in it. And to say that's changed would be an understatement. And not just how they're powered, but what they even look like. So the kayaks from 10 or 15 years ago, compared to what they're calling kayaks now, I don't think they're in the same ballpark. I don't see how you call them the same vessel. I mean, if you put these boats, I'm going to throw some across the screen here, and run one after the other. This is a kayak. And then you're telling me this is a kayak. Okay. Now this is a kayak. And now this is a kayak. And we can go on and on and on with examples of things that look nothing like the originals. Now, we're not going back to Alaska times and you know, sealskin canoes and kayaks. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying at least a resemblance to what started off this movement of kayak fishing out in the saltwater and on lakes and things like that. This new boat from Crescent really showed out and showed absurdity of where we're at. There's some influencers doing review videos of that, which is great. And it's a cool boat. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool rig, but they're calling it a kayak, even though it's a blatant, just a small skiff. That's all it is. It's a skiff. It's not a kayak. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I think it's awesome. I'd like to have one. But to call it a kayak or part of kayak fishing, we're missing the mark big time there. If we've learned anything over the last 5 to 10 years, you can't just call something one thing that is clearly another thing. And I think with these kayaks, we're calling small boats made of plastic kayaks. And before the haters come in here and say, oh, it's a kayak, stop being that way, we're advancing, get on board or get out of here, boomer. Let's be honest. We need to stop lying to ourselves. These are plastic boats at this point. Many of them, not all of them, but many of them. We went from being able to paddle it to pedal it, where if you took the pedals out, you could still paddle it if you needed to. I've done that on the river myself. To integrated motors, to boats now that you can't even move without a motor. Good luck paddling it. There's no pedal drive in it. It is literally just a boat that you can stand on the front deck. It's just small. And if you don't understand that, or if you don't admit that, then I don't know what we're doing here. And I understand that kayak purists and those kind of things, I'm not talking about trying to be one of those. I'm just talking about, hey, maybe we need to have a little self-reflection about what exactly we're doing here. Is this small boat fishing or is this kayak fishing? Because it feels like we've drifted into the gray area between the two. And it feels kind of funny just calling it kayak fishing like we used to. The next reason I feel like there's an identity crisis really is similar to the first, but it's more on the tech end of things. And I'm not going to blame live scope for the downfall of kayak fishing, even though I have my opinions on live scope and fishing in general. I'm just talking about kayak fishing was the everyman's, common man's way to get off the bank and to fish, or to fish tournaments. And if you want to talk about tournaments specifically, if you show up to a local tournament, God forbid a regional or national tournament, with just a simple paddle rig, you feel like a fish out of water, pun intended. You feel like you don't even belong there. So I feel like another reason we have an identity crisis is people that used to look at this like a entry-level way to compete, an entry-level way to maybe not compete, but just get off the bank and get out on the water. There's a tendency to feel like, well, if you don't have the same rigs as most other people, then you can't go out there or you won't go out there. I know everybody's not like that. Some people don't care what anybody thinks, but a lot of people do, and they don't want to show up to an event or get out on the lake and just be paddling around while everybody else has outboards and trolling motors and live scope and 3 graphs on their boat. They feel like they have to have that to be involved in this, so they just as soon either stay on the bank or buy a John boat or a used bass boat. And the third reason I feel like we're in an identity crisis in this sport is the people I'm going to call the influential figures in the sport, whether it's social media influencers, tournament directors, tournament competitors, non-tournament people that are just big on YouTube and other social medias, like I already said. They're not pointing this out. They're riding the wave and saying, yeah, this is a kayak. If you send me a free one, I'll give you the thumbs up and call it a kayak. And it's not. And there's many matter of fact, most entry-level people. I got into this sport because I saw a magazine sitting on the rack at Books A Million back in 2010, 2011. And it's what prompted me into getting into this. I don't think people look at magazines anymore. They go straight to TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram Reels, whatever, and they search for kayak fishing. So they're trusting the folks out there that are peddling information to tell them what they should get, what a kayak is, and so on. So hey, if that's you, how about we start being real and explaining what we're doing here? I don't know if taking a stand is the right word, but at least say, hey, yeah, they've labeled it a kayak, but check out this small boat over here. So where do we go from here? What is to be done about it? I don't know if anything's to be done about it. From a competitive aspect on the tournament side, I don't know how you keep innovating and growing and creating what looks like a small bass boat. Frankly, kayaks now look like the original Skeeter bass boats. I'll throw them up side by side on the screen and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. But the original Skeeter bass boats look like advanced kayaks now, except for the electronics and stuff. But the shape, the outboards, the small profile, or small for a bass boat, big for a kayak. So that's where we're heading. Like the two things are intersecting. Old school bass boats and new school kayaks. It's kind of a weird circular timeline we're on with those. But where do we go? I don't know. I don't know that 10 years from now you can keep doing what we're doing and call it kayak fishing. Do you call it small vessel fishing, small boat fishing, electronic motor fishing, electric motor circuit? I don't know what you call it, but to call it kayak fishing, I think you are being very dishonest with the description of what this thing is turning into. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just almost find it funny. And I still think there's a place for, I'm going to call it man-powered fishing, where it's a simpler deal, whether it's pedals or paddles, whatever. A more basic fishing, which is what drew me to kayak fishing and a lot of other people to kayak fishing to begin with. So let me know if you agree. Is there still a place for the simple rigs and simple fishing? I know outside of tournaments, there's certainly that. You can go float the river and fish the lakes with whatever you got, just any kayak that floats. But does tournament fishing survive this? That maybe that's where the main problem is going to show itself, is over there on the tournament side. You're going to get less and less people showing up because they can't afford to even get into the rigs they feel they need to compete. Maybe that's the case. So maybe it doesn't affect the rec side at all. I just feel like the identity of kayak fishing has drifted into this weird gray zone, and I don't know where it goes from here. It'll be interesting to follow, interesting to see where it lands. I'd really just love to hear all of your opinions. If you drop them in the comments, I'd love to read them and respond to them, because I feel like we're in a weird spot. I've seen some high-level anglers in Facebook groups bring this question up, talk about it, share their concerns about it. It just, something feels off. Maybe that's the best way to put it. But not being a hater, not blaming anybody in particular. It's just the normal drift that you see in anything that's growing this fast. So appreciate y'all checking this out. If you like this video, you'll probably like the next one that gets recommended here. And before you leave, please hit that notification bell and subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next video.